We all know that Rob was a phenomenal warrior and a phenomenal commander, but he did make a few mistakes. Some of them are small, some of them are quite massive. And those mistakes were what actually caused his defeat and his subsequent death. So in this video, I'll be detailing how exactly did Rob go from this to this.
Bran can't be Lord of Winterfell before me. Renly can't be king before Stannis.
Do you mean to declare us for Stannis?
Renly is not right.
My lords! My lords! Here is what I say to these two kings. Renly Baratheon is nothing to me. Nor Stannis neither. Why should they rule over me and mine from some flowery seat in the south? What do they know of the war or the Wolfswood? Even their gods are wrong. Why shouldn't we rule ourselves again? It was the dragons we bowed to, and now the dragons are dead. There sits the only king I mean to bend my knee to. The King of the North.
This is still a great scene, but what a lot of people actually don't notice is that this actually kickstarted the beginning of the end. And hilariously enough, this was actually right at the beginning, as in this was immediately after the Battle of the Whispering Wood, in which Rob tricked Tywin and captured Jaime. And what I mean that this kickstarted the beginning of the end for Rob is the fact that because Rob was made King of the North, it also means that he's also simultaneously denying the necessity to actually swear fealty to Stannis or Renly. Seeing as he's now king, he can't really be swearing fealty to another king. Choosing to make an alliance with Renly would have been somewhat okay. I think Renly wouldn't mind, but eventually Renly would want Rob to actually swear fealty to him. And obviously Stannis wouldn't want any allies who aren't swearing fealty to him. Remember, Rob, Renly and Stannis are fighting the same enemy, being the Lannisters. Remember, Renly and Stannis are fighting each other because Renly made himself king just like Stannis, and when Rob made himself king also instead of swearing fealty to at least one of them, then that makes it so that the potential for 3 armies being made into one massive army ultimately becomes split into, well, 3 small armies. If Rob actually swore fealty to Stannis like he was already planning to, seeing as Stannis was the older brother and the rightful king, then it would have made his chance of victory very, very easy, as in much easier than what actually happened. In fact, I think they would have won by season 2 because the Battle of Blackwater Bay would have ended with a Stannis victory because Stannis would have ordered Rob, as Rob already swore fealty to him, to actually try his absolute hardest to keep Tywin at Harrenhal. If Rob would have kept Tywin at Harrenhal, then Tywin wouldn't be able to swoop down, join with the Tyrells, and consequently lift in the siege. And the Tyrells can't attack on their own either, because if they did, then the Lannister army defending King's Landing wouldn't know if they're friend or enemy. So yeah, seeing as nobody would have helped them, Stannis would have won that siege and consequently take King's Landing. And when Stannis takes King's Landing, then he will just kill Cersei, Tyrion, Joffrey, and very likely Tommen. Meaning that Marjorie wouldn't be able to marry into the Baratheon house because, well, there is no male for her to marry. Although yes, there is an issue of Loras actually being Renly's lover, and obviously Stannis killed him, consequently making him very angry and want revenge. But that isn't the main reason why the Tyrell army actually joined up with the Lannisters. The biggest reason why that actually happened is because they wanted to make Marjorie queen. And seeing as there's no Joffrey or Tommen means that Tywin is screwed, and that Tywin is almost certainly going to be defeated because now he's going to be sandwiched by both Rob and Stannis. However, Rob didn't actually swear fealty to Stannis, and well, we saw what actually happened in the show. Tywin found it very easy to actually take back King's Landing by joining up with the Tyrells, and him taking back King's Landing means Stannis got defeated. Meaning that Tywin would now solely focus on Rob like what happened in the show, which gave him ample enough time to actually come up with a plan to wipe out Rob from the board. However, in the show, Rob still had a fighting chance up until the season finale of season 2. Even after Stannis had already lost and obviously this sort of fealty to Stannis, Rob still could have actually had a fighting chance if he didn't make his second and possibly the biggest mistake he could have possibly made.
Father, Smith, Warrior, Mother, Maiden, Crone, Stranger,
I am hers, and she
he
is mine,
from this day
until the end of my days.
I mean, this is probably the most expected one because this is possibly the one that is usually used by multiple people to pinpoint when exactly Robb lost the war. So when Rickard Carstock said this,
That you lost this war, the day you married her.
he wasn't exaggerating because Robb, pretty much the very moment he married Talissa, he already lost the war. Because him marrying Talissa automatically breaks his agreement with Walder Frey, in which Robb was asked by Walder Frey to marry one of his daughters. If he would have kept his agreement, then Walder Frey would have lent him his army, meaning that Robb would be reinforced for the losses that he has already had. Remember, although yes, Robb is still undefeated, he still lost a lot of men to actually gain that victory. And this is the episode after the Blackwater episode, meaning that Tywin now would have actually allied himself with the Tyrells. So when Robb said,
We need our men more than Tywin needs his.
he is not exaggerating because he's now the underdog, multiple times more so than he was at the start of the war. It's gotten to the point in which any hard-fought battle could be catastrophic due to the fact that any loss of life could be detrimental to his cause, as it would really affect him logistically. And then later on, Robb went on to lose a large chunk of his army, not through a hard-fought battle, but because of his third and final mistake.
Kill me and be cursed. You are no king of mine.
And this ultimately sealed his fate because this not only made sure that he actually loses the war, but it also made sure that the Red Wedding happens and he actually dies. All of his advisors told him to spare him because men loyal to Rickard Carstock makes up a large portion of his army. And if he actually executes him, then it's highly likely that all of them would just leave, or worse, mutiny and attack the rest of Robb's army. He could have followed what Roose Bolton told him and hid the Lannister children that were actually killed by him, but ultimately, he chose to execute him instead. Executing Rickard Carstock crippled his army, which caused him to be desperate, which means that he was kind of forced to seek out Walder Frey, which kickstarted a series of events that culminated in, well, this.
Mother.
The Lannisters send their regards.
Anyways, if you do like the video, then like and subscribe for more, and let me know what you think about Robb's decision making in the comments below.